It's challenging to predict the future of hospice care. What will end-of-life care look like in the next 10, even 20 years? We've got our guesses and our wish list. You're listening to Heartbeat from the Heart of Hospice. I'm Jerry Finter, here with Helen Bauer.
Whether you're a family caregiver or an end-of-life professional, we're here to enhance your hospice experience by connecting you with information you can use about end-of-life care. Because we know how busy life can get, Heartbeat is designed to give you helpful information in a bite-sized format.
In the beginning, we said, where it's challenging to predict the future of hospice care. Okay, so it's just challenging to predict the future, period.
Yeah, that's true.
I wish I had a crystal ball and I could kind of see, oh, yeah. But then you would be like, I don't think I want to go there.
Well, we don't have a choice.
This is true.
In honor of National Hospice and Palliative Care Month, November of 2021, we are talking about where the trends may be taking hospice, and then we're going to do a little wishful dreaming about what we want it to look like.
Okay.
That's going to be my favorite part.
Okay, so we've already looked at the history of hospice in this 3-part series. We've looked at the current state of hospice. Well, this is going to be our look into the future.
I like this. Okay, so one thing we know for sure is we have a huge population of aging baby boomers. Thank you, Jerry Finter, for your contribution, yes, who are going to be moving into that season of their lives where they will need end-of-life care. And we're going to have to make changes to accommodate them.
Right. So here's where we're going to make some suggestions and hopes. The first one is we need earlier and more in-depth conversations about end-of-life care.
That's not really a new thing, but the fact that we've got the silver tsunami, this huge population of baby boomers that will be aging into this system, just makes that a more critical need.
Right. If we can stereotype baby boomers for just a moment.
Stereotype yourself. Let's hear it.
Stereotype. Boomers are typically information seekers. They want to know, and the internet has made that really interesting because there's a lot of information out there. They want to be informed, and they want to make their own decisions.
I mean, that's true about you.
It is. It really is.
You're an information seeker, and you do research. You do searches on the internet.
Oh, all the time. And I, like a lot of the other baby boomers in my age bracket, we really do want that. Now, what does that have to do with hospice? Well, because those same baby boomers, as they age and as they need end-of-life care, are going to want more and better information about end-of-life care, including hospice.
And we need to be ready and trained and willing.
Right.
And documenting.
Document.
Exactly. Thank you, Jennifer Kennedy and NHPCO. We need to be able to provide that type of care. We are going to be caring for more people who want that type of information, and hospice will also be caring for more people who will be or will choose to be solo agers. That's not a good label. So let's say aging alone.
Okay, that's good.
Right.
Good term, I think.
They either do not have family members who can care for them, who are available, or they don't have any family, or they are choosing to do it independently.
Yeah, that's true. And there's plenty of those people who are out there right now, and among the baby boomers especially, because the baby boomers also tend to be very independent.
Independent. It's not a bad thing. It's just something that end-of-life professionals, hospice teams, need to be aware of so that they know how to give the best care to those folks.
Right. So that's one of the things that we're looking at in the future of hospice care. There's a second thing, and that is hospice teams are going to be using telehealth more and more. We've seen the increase in telehealth usage during the pandemic. That's only going to increase, I think, as time goes by. Plus, the technology is going to be more proficient. It's going to improve as time goes by.
Right.
And so what this means is that we're going to need more skilled communicators.
We always did need to be skilled communicators because of what we talk about. But the fact of the matter is a person-to-person, face-to-face conversation is different from having a phone conversation, a video call, a conference call. It's just different.
It is. It is very different. So here's an example. When you're face-to-face with someone, you're going to be able to see the big picture. You will see the pictures on the wall.
Oh, their living environment.
Right.
Yeah.
You'll be able to see their living environment. You'll be able to see the whole person as well when you're face-to-face. When you're looking at a person on a screen, you don't see their environment. All you see is just them,
True.
and you only see probably the top half of them. And so it really does take a skilled communicator to be able to say, tell me about how you're doing and tell me about what you see around you right now.
One of the reasons we've been doing telemedicine is because of the waivers that were provided by regulation during the pandemic. But I think there will be components, not necessarily our clinical assessments that we keep as telemedicine, but I think there will be more utilization of telehealth. I think phone calls, now that we've discovered the beauty of reaching out via telephone, I think where we can use it, we will, because it is a time saver. It's a travel saver. It reduces agencies' expenditures. It reduces their carbon footprint. All the way across, it has its benefits. So if we're going to utilize that, we've got to be better at how we communicate with patients and families. We've also got to be better at how we listen to people.
Oh, yes.
People communicate differently when they talk on the telephone. They really do.
Yeah, because some people just don't like talking on the telephone, or even worse, they don't like talking on video.
And there are some people, when you speak with them over the telephone, they feel a little freer, and so they may disclose a little bit more. It just depends on the person. So skilled communication is super important.
Did you know that only about 37% of people across the U.S. have completed advanced care planning? It's never too early to talk with your family, friends, or healthcare team about what you want if you become seriously ill. At theheartofhospice.com, we've got an advanced directive page with resources to help you start those conversations and get your wishes documented. Using resources like Go Wish, the Hello Game, the Death Deck, Heart to Hearts, and the Conversation Project, those talks we dread so much get easier and maybe even a little fun. Listen to the Heart of Hospice podcast, where we've talked about advanced care planning tools. Then get started talking with your loved ones about what matters most to you. Creating an advanced care plan will ensure that you get the care you want. We never forget, you are the Heart of Hospice. Now, back to today's episode.
Okay. Bereavement care and grief management.
This is going to be increasing in the future, I think.
I don't know how it couldn't. Right now, here in November of 2021, there's a call for a national grief strategy on a federal level to manage the collective grief that the pandemic has created across the United States.
Yes, and that's probably not going to go away soon.
No, it's not. We have never been more disenfranchised in our grief. Families that have not been able to have funerals, families that have not been able to gather. A lot of our traditional ceremonies and rituals have not been able to happen. A lot of the gatherings and things that we do have been out of bounds.
I think the grief that the clinical personnel have been experiencing is one that's going to take a long time to heal.
Yes.
It really is. And so for that reason, bereavement care and grief management, even for healthcare professionals, is going to, it's already on the increase.
Absolutely. So here's what's on our wish list.
Okay, we're going to have a wish list, huh?
I like this. this.
Okay, this is good. So those of you who are listening and who are hospice professionals, end-of-life professionals, you may have your own wish list.
Oh, send it to us. We want to hear.
Absolutely. We would love to hear your wish list. And in fact, this may be something that we would put into a blog at some point and say, hey, here's what our listeners told us about their wish list for hospice. But here's ours. Maybe it will inspire you, and you can send us yours.
So, elimination of the 6-month requirement.
Okay, let's talk about this. So for those of you who may not understand what the 6-month requirement is, what is that?
A physician has to certify that for a patient to be eligible for hospice, that the patient has 6 months or less life expectancy. That was from way back when. That's ancient history. It came with the hospice Medicare benefit that started back in the mid-60s. And our patient population looked different. Our diagnosis mix looked different back then. We mostly had cancer patients. So it was a suitable limitation, a suitable requirement. Maybe not so much anymore.
No, because we've got many people living with dementia and Alzheimer's who have a longer disease trajectory and who need help sooner, but because of their longer life expectancy, they don't qualify.
Right.
And yet they need the care now. And I can get really passionate about
Don't
this.
even take a deep breath.
I know. And so we really need to consider the elimination of the 6-month requirement.
Okay. Let's go with this next one, which is, I'm already going to a happy place inside I'm on the beach, lying on the sand, on my wish list. This would be, I have to say, probably my top one. Mandatory end-of-life formal education, not on-the-job training, not in servicing when you get to the job, but during your formal education as you obtain your degrees and your license. End-of-life education for all physicians. And yes, doctors, I am talking to you. I've been a nurse for 30 years, and I will tell you, there is something lacking. There is something lacking there in end-of-life education in medical schools. And I would say the same thing for nursing schools as well. Physicians and nurses should receive standardized across the board in every formal education program that they have, education about end-of-life care, hospice and palliative care, both.
All right, absolutely. And here's why.
I'm okay.
Okay, and here's why we think this is important. We're seeing more and more patients coming to hospice too late.
Or for the wrong reasons.
Okay. And
For the wrong reasons.
yes, that's true too. And many times it's because they are receiving inaccurate or inadequate information from their physician, their primary physician.
It's true.
So the more that physicians understand what we do in end-of-life care, the more that they'll be willing to say, I think it's time for us to consider hospice.
Or at some point in the future, we will need to consider hospice. Let me tell you what that would look like.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. Now, very good. It's even a little bit more upstream, which is important to do.
Yes, I think that's becoming my new favorite word, upstream. Yes. Okay, so the next one on our wish list is all about your discipline.
The spiritual counselors. We really need a standardized education requirement for spiritual counselors.
Yes.
There's not one. Now,
there are organizations that are working for this and towards this, but
yes,
currently there is not a requirement for
there's
it.
not a requirement. Not coming from Medicare, or CMS, the Center for Medicare and Medicaid Services. There's not any kind of education requirement, not standardized. There really needs to be. Many hospice agencies have their own standards.
Right.
They require maybe a Master of Divinity or a master's degree in counseling or psychology, something of that sort. But there's really not anything else out there.
It would be great to see it.
It would, because what would happen is that there would be some changes that take place on what's called the billing side of things if there was a standardized requirement.
Okay, so here's the last one, and this is huge, huge. Equitable care among all populations across the U.S.
And we really, really want to see this happen because
Yes.
there are some demographics that are just not receiving good end-of-life care.
So let's call it what it is, right? Let's be specific. People of color in the United States do not receive and do not access quality health care as much, as often, and don't receive the same type of care as Caucasians, okay? And that is absolutely true for hospice as well.
Oh, it is, definitely.
There's a huge gap between how many Caucasian people have engaged in hospice care and then a big drop down to African American and Hispanic or Latinos in the United States that are utilizing hospice care.
Right. Absolutely. So that's our wish list. And we would like to hear your wish list. So by all means, if you come up with a wish list for this, send it to us at host@theheartofhospice.com. And as I mentioned earlier, we might actually feature this on one of our blogs or maybe in a future podcast.
I like that. A podcast about nothing but our wish list for hospice. Wouldn't that be cool?
Ooh, yeah. We might get to hear some other people's soapboxes.
I like that.
Thanks for listening to Heartbeat from the Heart of Hospice. I'm Jerry Fenter here with Helen Bauer. Because we know your hospice journey is 24/7, you can always find us at theheartofhospice.com. Subscribe to the podcast wherever you're listening and leave a rating or a review on Apple Podcasts.
To connect with us, you can send an email to host@theheartofhospice.com. You can also find us on social media. And remember, no matter who you are or where you are in your hospice journey, you are the heart of hospice.